Mixing with Mike mixing tip, stemmed parallel compression. There are many forms or ways of using parallel compression in a mix. And one of my favorite ways of using parallel compression in a mix is in the form of what I would call like a stemmed parallel compression. So you can parallel compress a bass, parallel compress a snare, and usually what you end up doing is you filter out the characteristics of the sound that you don't want. You apply some really heavy compression. You can do it with vocals, you can do all kinds of things, and then you mix it or blend it in with the original. Sometimes it's just a straight, flat out, heavy, hardcore compression, and then you parallel mix it in with the original tracks. What I want to show you here is something that is a little bit different. So I'm just going to set up all from scratch here, just an auxiliary input. I'm going to create this here. And what I want to do is just on drums here, just to kind of give you like a short example of how I would do this, and what I often call like a squash track. So this would be my drum squash. The idea is that with a given sound or sonic characteristic, I want to look at and see what it is that is missing or what it is that I can add to a sound. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a series of sounds. So let me just kind of map the rest of this out. That's bus 21. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mix, in this case, as I have the drums kind of blended in here, I'm just going to load in a series of, a little slippage there. All of these guys, so they're actually, if you look at them, the panning will map exactly to what it is that I have done. So it's a fader mapped pan, or a follow main pan, and that's going to feed into my squash track here, and this is going to feed out to the mix bus. So in Pro Tools in particular, one of the reasons why I don't put this back into the mix stem like I have the rest of the tracks here is that there's a latency on the on the aux channel. I think it's somewhere around like 10 samples or so, and sometimes that creates a phasing issue. So because it's already going through a stem here, an aux channel, then this matches the timing. So now it's a matter of just picking the right style or right type of compression. And now what I want to do is I want to listen and see what kind of characteristic that I want to bring out. It is also one other thing that I also have in early reflections, sort of a room kind of thing here. I'm also going to bring this over here and feed that in. So if I had a reverb, I would feed the reverb into the squash as well to kind of help pull it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with one here. I just want to do like something a little bit more of like an excessive kind of dynamic thing. So this is like a great place for the silver-faced 1176 with an all setting here, and let's just kind of. So I want to have some pretty heavy compression. I can go fast attack. I'm going to take the bass out for right. Just to add a little bit of snappiness. And I'm gonna put some of the bass in here because I have that as part of the chain. So in addition to making it louder, it's going to add a little bit more air, a little bit more presence. If I wanted a slightly warmer version of this, I can go over here and go to the blackface version. Sometimes a little more musical. So this has a bit more of a brighter tone to it. right? And this is the thing, I can also put an EQ on here, so if I want to shape, like in particular, the way that this is working here, I'm kind of getting a little bit, too much on the sub, and maybe I kind of have a little bit of a dip in the mid-range to kind of tone down on some of the boxiness in here. Maybe also kind of tone down on the harshness of the cymbals. So I'll kind of do like a wide filter on the top end. And this gets rid of some of the boxiness. And this allows me to add the characteristic. I can do lots of different things. If I could also, if I wanted to go a different route, I could also go with an SSL bus compressor, go with a stereo bus compressor, and take a varied approach. Here I'll do something that is a little bit. Actually, going to go with a faster attack. And if I wanted to add a snappiness to this, I could actually slow down the attack. Adds a nice presence. So I could compare these two. I kind of like the tonal character of the SSL, right? Very cool. So the whole thing is is in this case, what I'm really doing is bringing a presence. It could be more aggressive for the type of song, and it could be roomier and bigger and much more heavy and pumping and breathing. And you could do this type of thing not just on drum tracks. I happen to be just showing it off this way here, but you could do it on vocals, the same type of thing. You could use that to add in presence. Like a very classic way of using this might be something with just something even like dead simple, like just a low-level compressor. Just bring in a compression circuit that compresses everything top down and bottom up. And, and I'll just kind of pull back. And it's just about bringing in presence, detail. Preserving a little bit more of the natural character. And so this is a technique that could work in an amazing way on the guitar tracks, on keyboard tracks in parallel, on, the stem for the vocals, the background vocals. So they all have different kind of characters here, right? You can hear it. SSL. So the MV2 is a little bit more transparent. This adds like a little bit more of grittiness on the low mids. This works a little bit higher in the mid-range area. You hear it really with the snare. Which is not as snappy with the SSL. This is doesn't really tonally color it much. And that's the difference where, using vintage components, you add that tonal coloration, and maybe that's something that you want. So you look for something that enhances more of the kick and the snare energy, that type of thing. And it just depends on what the original sounds are and what vibe it is that you're trying to bring out. So parallel compression is not always about squashing the snot out of everything, or maybe making everything sound overhyped or unnatural. Sometimes it can actually just, in this particular case, just help to enhance or bring up more of the natural dynamic, the air, and the openness of the sound. All right, there's Mixing with Mike mixing tip. Setting up a stemmed parallel compression.